Mr. Speaker, after years of persecution and oppression, indiscriminate attacks, a brutal siege of Gaza, the expansion of illegal settlements and demolition of Palestinian homes, unfair trials, arbitrary detention and restrictions on the freedom of movement, and now with the attack on worshippers at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, tensions in the region are now the highest they have ever been. And I join others in condemning the escalation in violence and the loss of life. Mr. Speaker, yet the silence of the international community is deafening, even as the Palestinians scream out for help. So I have to ask the Minister, how many times will we come back to this House to debate the persecution of the Palestinians, and when will the international community finally wake up?
If my right honourable friend examines his statements today and compares them to those made by the Foreign Office 25 years ago in respect of illegal settlements at Har Homa, he will find a remarkable similarity. What has changed is the end of any hope for the Oslo peace process, built out of existence by illegal settlements, and the dominance of factions in both communities of those least committed to justice, security, and reconciliation between the Israeli and Palestinian peoples. When will the United Kingdom take real accountability for those breaching international and humanitarian law, including those indiscriminately mortaring the innocent, the disproportionate response of by the occupiers to violence by the occupied, and decades of the violation of the Fourth Geneva Convention that has made a practical mockery of British policy commitment to a two-state solution?
Mr. Speaker, the government's response to this and every other episode in Palestine is and are completely inadequate. The Palestinians have lived under brutalistic oppression and apartheid by Israel with the tacit consent of the West for too long. We've heard the plague on both their houses sung too many times. Of course, we must condemn all violence on both sides. So in that spirit, can the Minister tell me whether he thinks it appropriate that the UK grant arms licences that sees UK weapons used in these indiscriminate Israeli attacks on civilians, including children?
Mr. Speaker, the extensive expansion of illegal settlements in East Jerusalem, forced eviction of Palestinian families from their homes in Sheikh Jarrah, brutality against worshippers in the third most holy site in Islam and during a Ramadan. This isn't about a clash between two equal sides. Until we discuss the root issue, we miss the entire context that fails to recognise that one side is an occupier and the other is occupied. Will the Minister demand that the Israeli ends all the discriminatory and illegal practices that have actually provoked these current tensions? And what specifically will he do to ensure for accountability and for violations of international law, which have been going on for the last 50 years?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the Foreign Secretary will take action on ethnic cleansing in Xinjiang, why not in Sheikh Jarrah? If the UK government will impose sanctions for the occupation of the Crimea, why does it allow trade with the illegal settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories? The Minister rightly condemns the killing of children in Gaza and Israel. Does he recognise that these war crimes spring from an unlawful occupation, and will he now give his full support to the investigation of the International Criminal Court?
Ibrahim al-Masri, 11. Marwan al-Masri, 6. Rahaf al-Masri, 10. And Yazan al-Masri, aged just 2. These are some of the names of the children killed this week, and last night an Israeli child was added to their numbers. My heart breaks for them. And Mr. Speaker, my heart bleeds for Palestine, for Jerusalem, the city of my family, for the worshippers attacked by extremists at the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the holiest night of Ramadan, and for all innocent civilians, Israeli and Palestinian. We cannot allow this to escalate any further. The Israeli government pursuing evictions in Sheikh Jarrah that would be illegal under international humanitarian law, including the 4th Geneva Convention, and the subsequent overly aggressive reaction of the Israeli authorities that injured hundreds has ignited a tinderbox. And Hamas then retaliated, and those strikes must be condemned too, because violence only begets more violence. The UN Special Envoy last night warned that the situation is escalating towards a full-scale war. The Minister will know that he does not say such words lightly, and he refers not just to Israel-Palestine, but indeed the entire region. So my questions to the Minister are these. Will the UK back Security Council resolutions condemning these attacks, regardless of what the US does? And should that fail, will the Minister work with international partners like the European Union to issue a statement on de-escalation in the strongest possible terms today, now? What steps is the UK taking to stop the attempted illegal evictions in Sheikh Jarrah? And will the government commit to supporting a new round of peace negotiations and indeed new elections in Palestine? And finally, if this isn't the time to recognise the state of Palestine, then when is? Mr. Speaker, the United Kingdom has a historic responsibility to the people of Palestine and a fundamental obligation to uphold international law. That two-state solution, as promised to the likes of my family, is as elusive as ever. It is time for the government to not just say, but do.